On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1969. We're going to be having a listen to Lee Marvin, and he's going to be singing Wandering Star. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So, something a little bit different for tonight, and I'm sure that this request came through when we were looking at songs in movies and auto-tune and all that kind of stuff. But this comes from Paint Your Wagon, which is a movie that I haven't seen. But my dad is a huge Clint Eastwood fan, so I've seen lots of Clint Eastwood westerns, but just never this one. But I do know this song, and that's something that I was thinking about when I was listening to this earlier today. I thought, why do I know this? And why does everybody know this song? And then I found out that it had been a #1 hit here for 3 weeks. And it kept the Beatles off the top spot, and they released Let It Be at that time. So that's probably why. But anyway, we will jump into the analysis of Lee's voice, and I have the pitch monitoring software up on screen, so we can dive into that a little bit. But let's have a listen and see how he gets on.
Star. I was born under a wandering star. Wheels are made for rolling, mules are made to pack. I've never seen a sight that didn't look better looking back. I was born under a wandering star. Mud can make you prisoner and the plains can bake you dry. Snow can burn your eyes, but only people make you cry. Home is made for coming from, for dreams of going to, which with any luck will never come true. I was born under a wandering star. I was born under a wandering star. Do I know where hell is? Hell is in hello. Heaven is goodbye, forever it's time for me to go. I was born under a wandering star.
So I'm just going to jump in here. As always, there's a link in the description below if you guys want to listen to it the whole way through without me jumping into it. But this is without doubt the lowest voice that we've ever analysed. And even on the pitch monitoring software, I have isolated the vocal and then run that through so that we get a little bit of a guide as to the pitch that is being hit here. And with Lee's voice, the interesting thing actually is that when they were going to start making the movie and he knew that he had to sing, he refused the option of miming along to a singer who would come in and perform the songs for him. And I think that, that's just a great move for the personality of the vocal, he's got had a low talking voice. So it meant that you still got that connection to the character when he'd be acting and then going to his singing. You didn't have this break off, which would have been a bit weird if he was, talking with that really deep, husky, full body tone, and then he'd go into, I was born, and then I'd get a singer in who just wouldn't sing it in the same range. Certainly here, I don't think that singers would normally approach it this low, because I was going 2 octaves higher there, but going, I was born, I was born. Even there, it would still sound a little bit too high. So it wouldn't match the personality of the character. And Lee's voice fundamentally. So let's have a look at the range going on here and the notes that Lee is hitting. We're just going to have a listen to this segment because it does plot the notes quite clearly on the pitch monitoring software.
Under a wandering star.
So here we can see the C#3. Another thing quickly to point out is that Lee is hitting pitches here. He is being accurate, but he's not being that accurate. If you listen to the whole performance and look at the lines that are being plotted on the pitch monitoring software throughout, sometimes he's almost a semitone off the note, but it's because of this conversational quality to the delivery, keeping it in this range. It doesn't really matter that the notes are far off where they should be. If anything, it just makes it more authentic. If he suddenly broke off into a flawlessly trained voice, it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't be as rough and ready and kind of rough around the edges. It needs that in this performance just to make it authentic. So yeah, it just perfectly matches, and you can see why it connected with so many people because of that authenticity. But anyway, getting into the pitch, we've got this C#3, and if we go down to our piano here, the C3 is there, so sharp is just a semitone higher than that. So the C#3 is here. Interestingly, this is an octave higher than where Lee starts. So we've had an octave's worth of range. But even this note here, I mean, when we listen to that C3, I'm going to take it back. Is that nah? In my voice, it sounds quite low, but in Lee's voice, it sounds higher than obviously the rest of it. But just hitting that nah and trying to go down to I can't really get down that low. I mean, I can kind of make my vocal cords make a kind of sound at that level, but never to the point where I'll be able to sing that. And, you know, to give you an appreciation of where that is, the note that we go down to is the C#2. So it's down here. It's actually lower than the bottom end bass classification for male vocalists, which is down at E2. Obviously, it can go lower than this, and we are doing that here. But it shows you how low it is. That, yeah, I would never be able to, well, I say I would never. I never say never in terms of training your voice in order to increase your range and lower your range. But with my voice as it is now, and you can hear from my talking voice, it sounds totally different to Lee's voice if you were to listen to him in past interviews. By the same token, I mean, it really does speak to the fact of singing in your own range and whatever's comfortable and making it authentic here. It certainly does have that effect. But I can't imagine Lee going, I was born, na, 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 and doing it 2 octaves higher. Whereas I can do that because it's just where our ranges sit. And that's the point where people try and sing really high and they can't quite make it and therefore think that they can't sing. It's not that they can't sing, they're just singing outside of their range. Exactly the same would be the case here. If I was trying to sing this song, I would, if I didn't know anything about singing, I would say, oh, I can't sing. Oh, because I can't get the same notes. So you've got to have that same approach. If you can't hit high notes, it's exactly the same as not being able to hit low notes, that you're not singing in your range. You just have to adjust it. So if I was singing this, rather than being really low and rather than going, and being there, I'd go, I was born. Because now that is in a range that sits with my talking voice. If I'm talking here, it's not a million miles away from where I talk. In fact, it's exactly the same place. But it certainly is very low. And probably guys now trying to hit that note an octave lower, you'll realise how low it is. I mean, some guys might be able to hit that note. But as for singing, you know, making it sound full-bodied and have a maintenance of pitch that is accurate, you know, that's something that you have to be able to access those notes with a bit of authority in order to get that. So we'll jump back into it and listen to it until the end. For reference, the backing vocals that come in are an octave higher than Lee's lead line, so it really helps to give that contrast between the voices. But talking about the contrast in the voices, those backing vocals have quite a lot of air in the sound. So when we have that I was born, it's that kind of thing rather than them kind of leaning into it. I don't think we have the I was born. I don't think we have the octave higher. It might be in there quite low in the mix to fill it out, but we'll have a listen and see what's going on.
Dreams of going through, which with any luck will never come true.
Even there with that they kind of open that that vowel with the W and kind of blend it all together rather than making it more staccato and having and having that little bit of silence in there. It's just getting it all to blend, and they achieve that by just putting some air in the sound as well.
When I get to heaven, tie me to a tree.
I mean, it's so dramatic when that lower octave of Lee's comes in. I mean, because it's just so full. I mean, it's great because it's just a standalone voice. And yeah, trying to get somebody else to sing it like this would be, I'd say, impossible, because it's got to be the voice of the character that you're listening to.
Or I'll begin to roam, and soon you know where I will be.
And just to draw your attention to some of the notes that we've got going on here, when I mentioned earlier about the notes not really being that important because the voice, the authenticity, is the most important thing. Here we're between notes, the A2, the A sharp 2, we're between the G and the G sharp 2 here. We're okay with that E2. Let's continue.
I was born under a wandering star.
Now here's where the pitch monitoring software can't really place where the voice is. I think it's because it's quite a gravelly sound as well.
A wandering star.
And even with that humming in the background, there's still a vocal technique in there. They're not just going and leaving it straight there. They've kind of got there's even a little bit of air in the hum. So with vibrato to kind of just to get it to disappear off into the distance. And being that light with it means you get a really nice fade out, really nice end to the performance. So an interesting one to take a look at tonight, and a bit of a different one. It's definitely the opposite to what we see nowadays in movies that might be musicals, where the lead characters, if they do have to sing, generally the studios will either get in a professional vocalist, or I'd say more often than not now, they take the vocal of that lead actor and then pitch correct it or auto-tune it, because it's so easily implemented nowadays. You just move it on the screen and now that person is hitting the notes accurately. So, I mean, obviously the downside of that is that you lose the expression in the voice and therefore the connection to the character. So I'm sure that the reason that this song did so well in the charts here in the UK, and I assume over in the USA as well, It's because of that authenticity of the character and the way that Lee delivers this. But thank you guys for requesting this particular video for me to take a look at. Keep those suggestions and requests coming in the comments section below. As always, let me know what you guys think, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!